Hi, class. This is a brief explanation of the three main sociological theories that we'll be talking about all semester, and obviously are talked about in whatever sociology classes you may take in the future, okay? So these are ones you need to know about and understand how they look at the world, okay? So they're theories, remember, okay, which doesn't mean necessarily that that's exactly how it works, but it is somebody's idea of how the world works, okay? And that's how they view it. It's called a lens or perspective, okay? That's what these theories are. So it talks about two theories that are called macro theories, which means they're from very big perspective, societal level, okay? Big groups of people, that's what that's all about. There's one that they talk about, which is a micro perspective, which is a very personal, one-on-one, individual look at how society deals with things, okay? And that's the symbolic interaction theory. So let me talk to you about that one first, since it's all by itself. Okay, symbolic interaction, it sounds like it's just about symbols, right? Like this symbol, which can mean a couple different things, right? It can mean the number 2. It can mean the letter V. It can mean victory. It can mean peace, right? Depending on where you grow up or what you've heard, right? That symbol right there can mean many different things to different people at different places and different times in history, whatever. Okay, so that's just an example of a symbol that we think about. But other things that we don't necessarily call symbols are also symbols because they have meaning, things that have meaning. So if I was wearing a fur coat and a tiara on my head, okay, what would those pieces of clothing be a symbol of? You might say, oh, well, wealth, right? She's really wealthy. She owns a fur coat and she has a diamond tiara. I mean, that symbolizes wealth, and that's true, okay? So clothing can be symbols. As I said, gestures and stuff can be symbols, but are the house we live in, okay, the car we drive, the kind of watch, if we wear a fancy watch or whatever, jewelry, these things are all symbols, okay? And so symbolic interaction is about how the individual person, okay, us, each individual, interacts with their environment. So you could be, for instance, born into a family of extreme wealth, let's say, okay? And the symbols of things that you're going to be interacting with are going to be very different, most of them, than somebody who, let's say, was born into poverty, okay? So when you think about symbolic interaction, don't just think about these kinds of symbols, all right? Think about all the other things that in our lives that have meaning to us, okay? And kind of help us interact with our own environment, okay? And how we think about the world, how we look at the world, okay? So that's symbolic interaction, okay? Now, the other two are macro perspectives, okay? They look at the world with a much bigger lens. So Karl Marx is the person that kind of put forth the conflict theory, which he looked at it more from a socioeconomic status, okay, from whether people who had money and people who don't have money. In other words, the haves and the have-nots. In our country, we might refer to them as the 1%ers, right, and then the 98%, okay. He called them also the proletariat and the bourgeoisie. Okay? So again, fancy words, which means the people who have stuff and the people who don't have stuff. People who have power. Okay? People who don't have power. Okay? You in your own life can think about groups of people, okay, that this applies to. Let's just say women as a group don't have as much power, right, as men as a group. Because why? Well, you've heard the term before, the phrase, it's a man's world out there. Still true. Okay. So we are seeing shifts in that. We are seeing some changes in that. But there's still a lot of things, right, that it's not okay for women to do, but it's okay for men to do. Women still get paid less for the same job in many cases, okay, as opposed to a man. So you may either be aware of this or you may believe it or not. All you have to do is look at the statistics. And you see this for yourself, okay? So this is an example of a group, two different groups of people, men and women, let's say, and how conflict theory speaks about that, okay, in the event of not just socioeconomic, but also with power, okay? So when you read about conflict theory, pay attention to that. And again, it's large groups of people. It's not just one individual person, like one man having power over one woman, or one man having more money than one woman. Because obviously there are some women, like Oprah Winfrey is a good example, who have a lot of money, okay? She made a lot of money. She has obviously invested and done very, very well for herself. But she's not the typical example, right, of most women that we know. Correct? Okay. So that would be, as I said, conflict theory from the large perspective of societal level. The other one that's the macro perspective is the functionalism, or sometimes it's called structural functionalism, which is really hard to say. So I call it functionalism. And it is exactly about what the name says, which is you look at something that's in our society and you look at the function that it serves. Okay? So as an example, the social institution that we call education, okay? It's a social institution, meaning it's a tool that we have, that we use, right? And how we educate the masses of people. So lots of people, okay? Let's say public education. So what function does public education serve? Okay, well, ideally, right, and when it was first proposed, ideally, you want to have an educated citizenry, right? You want to have your citizens in your country be educated. So they can read, they can write, okay? They can think, they can vote, right? Those kinds of things, all right? So from a very large perspective, it makes sense, right? The function of education is to educate the masses, okay? So we have an educated group of citizens, okay? Let's say religion as a social institution. What is the function of religion? Okay, what function does it serve in a society? And you will see, I mean, there are many functions that religion serves, but some of the most obvious ones, right? It gives people hope, okay? Things are going really, really bad for people, and it could be, again, entire groups of people. It's always, you pray, you want to pray, and then the function is it gives people hope that something's going to get better. Or after this life is over, where I'm going to next will be better. Okay? It also serves the function of answering the big questions about what does happen after we're done here, that kind of thing. Okay? So it kind of keeps the masses, the large groups of people, it keeps them more calm, right? Religion does. It serves a purpose to the population, to the society. All right? So that's just the quick and dirty version of the three main theories. If you have any other questions, you can ask. But your discussion forum this week is going to be about those. So as you read more, you'll get a chance to look into that and ask some more questions and present some things when you're writing your discussion forum so that your classmates can respond to those. All right? Talk to you later.